Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, one of the cool things about warmer weather is I get to put on my Chucks. You know, they're not exactly purple. I forget exactly what they're called. My father used to wear bright orange Converse All Stars, and after he passed away, I started wearing Converse myself. Haven't put on some bright orange ones, but just a little tribute, I suppose. And I tell you, it's always fun to put them back on. This video has nothing to do with that. I like the high tops, even though they're a real pain to put on. It just takes forever, but just the low tops just don't look as cool, at least to me. So, once again, video has nothing to do with that, but I'm just kind of pumped to put them back on. Anyhow, after that rant I made last night, I wanted to make a video about, just another experience I've had. And, the rant really had nothing to do with the people that I was playing with. They're not bad people. They're not bad gamers. It's just, I noticed I've had other experiences which make me realize that there are other people out there whose styles are going to mesh better with mine. Not that they're better gamers, they're just different styles. So I want to talk about an experience I had as far as that was concerned. One of the experiences I've had. And this one I'm just going to call it was dumb luck because it wasn't really planned. And maybe in subsequent videos, I want to talk about like being a little bit more planful about trying to get together with the right people. But what happened? I talk an awful lot because there was a lot of things that happened in that game. About the Lamentations of the Flame Princess game, I was a player in the first time I was exposed, rather, is the word, to that game. I think it was about 2010, 2011 we started playing. And so this guy, Joe the attorney, Joe the lawyer, he is known on a bunch of forums, recruited a bunch of us through Meetup, I think was what the website was. So none of us had met each other ever. And out of the people that ended up playing in that game, there were three of us that pretty much played the entire time. This guy Mark, who if you watched the video, "The Sword is Mine," that was Mark. He was our party fighter. And then this other Joe was our party specialist, or what you call a thief or rogue. Brenson, and I don't think he played any other characters. I think his character might have lived the entire time, starting out with a 4 constitution, unbelievably. But anyhow, that is another story. And then I played 3 characters. I played, there was one thief that lasted for like 2 sessions, then I played a wizard lasted for quite some time, and then played his henchman fighter at the very end. Now we had other players in the game. It was a bit of a hot seat, I think, for the 4th and the 5th seat. I think most of the times we had 4 players there. And we had one guy, I think, near the end of the game for the longest. But I remember mostly what Joe and I and Mark did. And Mark was, a person I suspect, my clinical field, because I wasn't a psychologist, is he probably had some degree of Asperger's, which it's fine. Mark was one of the best people I've ever played with. I love playing with him, but he wasn't a mover and a shaker. His Asperger's or something. Just a little, he was different. But I love playing with a guy. So Joe and I on there, most of the memories, if I can stop stuttering, that I've had about the game were about Joe and I. So the game master and Joe the player and myself. And what happened seemed to be that we started playing off. It was almost like playing like any other game of D&D, whether we start off with a little bit of a scripted thing that we're going to do in the beginning, which is normal. And then what started to happen it was different than some other games that I played, and definitely different than the game I played last night. Yes, it was tournament style, but I played with these people in other games too, where it stopped being about what we were supposed to do, and all of a sudden our characters came to life, and it was more about what was really going on in the world, what was my character all about, and then what would they like to do based on this? And then living with the consequences, whether they were good or bad. And we had both. And I don't think any of us really sat down and said, well, let's play in a real simulationist or immersive manner, really get into our characters. It just seemed to be like what we naturally did, and I had a blast in that game. I felt very, very natural. And to his credit, the game master, even though we thwarted, he constantly had to figure out things out that he wasn't prepared for. He rolled with the punches, and the world was dynamic. The characters, I remember the NPCs. I remember this one contact I had in the city all the time, and to me, he was like a real person. And so that was cool. But you know what? It was dumb luck. I ended up, I'd like to play with these guys again if we could ever, we live in different parts of the state and different schedules and all that kind of stuff. And I've contacted them a few times and had some, pleasant interchanges with them. But so far nothing's really materialized. But I think it was just kind of almost like dumb luck that we found some people who seemed to like the same kind of gameplay. In that case, it was also kind of a system that I was comfortable with, And certainly Joe, the DM, was comfortable with, and the other Joe has had some experience with it, but really just kind of took to it like a duck to water. But it was just a combination. It wasn't just a system, because I played with lots of other people that have played something like D&D or old D&D or OSR or whatever you want to call it. Not the same. Just the way we approached the game, the way we approached the world, the way we approached our characters seemed to fit and seemed much more natural. And it was different than those times when I've gone and I've played in a game where it was a lot more goal driven, and what we were really doing was supplying dialogue to our characters. That's pretty much the personality we gave them. Is kind of given this little interesting personality quirk, but really at the end of the day we were trying to do the optimal thing to get to the place we were supposed to get or achieve whatever goal it was, that sort of thing. It just and those just felt a little more hollow and empty, to put a descriptor to it. Whereas this game felt dynamic and alive. Dumb luck. So I want to talk more about this in terms of maybe planning a little bit more in terms of like hooking up with the right people. So that's my little spiel for today, and hope you have a good one. And if you got some chucks, wear them.